We go into plants, and remember, if you touch the soil or affect the soil, you affect the plants, you affect the animals, and vice versa. So it's all part of the whole, and that is the problem with today's thinking. It's all linear, and we've got to look at this complex, multi-dimensional situation called agriculture and the environment, and we need different thinking to work with it. So again, we go into holistic management because it puts it in a linear format for us to investigate it, understand it, and then we have the three-part goal: quality of life, forms of production, and future resource base, which governs what we want: immediate, mid-term, long-term. We describe the whole under management. Then we have the ecosystem processes, the water cycle, the energy flow, mineral cycle, and community dynamics, which are merely the filter to every decision leading towards our holistic goal to make sure that it's environmentally sound. We have the tools to work the land because we as humans cannot work the land. We have the testing guidelines, 7 of them. The 8th one is common sense. We have the planning procedures, we monitor, and we then make the decision leading towards the holistic goal. And it means that we do not waste time, money, and resources on something that is irrelevant. So we look at the plant and we look at recovery and growth curve. So the time it takes to grow that in the spring, because you've got low residual, equals the same time it grows that volume. So why do you want to go back to that height when you can do that with that volume? And so it goes on. So don't eat right down into the ground. Don't stomp everything into the ground. And again, we go back to eating a third, leaving a third, and grazing a third. But because my critics asked me how to tell a cow, but not the fact, in actual fact, you've never watched a cow. So we look at the volumes. 10 days, 20 days, 30 days. You guys never let it get beyond that anyway. And then you wonder why you got no food in the winter. So we're going to go in and show you, or hopefully show you a way that you can do and put feed aside in the winter without spending any money. But whether you do it or not is your choice. You take it. So we watch a cow. So why has she grazed that and not that? Because she wants the best energy available in that paddock. And people, I told you about those new cows always going to the mineral that the rest of the cows went to. That nose of a cow detects radio waves, magnetic waves. That's the only way I can work out why she knows where the best energy is. Because when she's grazed this, she chews it, swallows it, and then walks to the other side of the paddock. And we've got wild animals on our property, but we've got no game fencing. So we get a net inflow of wild animals. And we shoot them and sell the meat. And I'm very happy to do that because they've eaten somebody else's energy and I get the money. So the purpose of this example, 1 herd of animals, 10 paddocks, 30-day recovery period. So each line depicts a paddock. So there we have 3 paddocks that I've drawn there. And we've got 10 paddocks. So once you've gone through, you graze 10 paddocks. But those 10 paddocks have roots. And the roots aren't very deep because conventionally we keep your grazing very short in New Zealand. We don't want the roots to get too deep. So we go in and we graze the top. We get the animals to graze most plants, one bite off most plants. But what has happened to the roots? If we graze the top, there's a dieback, but that is not a good word to describe what I'm trying to get at. The roots then bring energy back into the plant to grow the next lot of leaves. And there's a loss of a certain amount of root area, which leads the carbohydrates go back up, but the carbon stays back in the ground. That is the first graze. We then have pruned the plants, and what happens when you prune a rose? It's denser. So we prune the grasses, and we go into the next graze, but we have, instead of 10 paddocks, we have the equivalent amount of forage of 20 paddocks. Because we've pruned the grass, we've given it a recovery period, the roots have gone deeper, and we've got more carbon in and above the soil, but we'll describe that later. And then we go into the third graze, but we haven't actually got 10 paddocks, we've got the equivalent of 50 paddocks. Because that amount of food is now trebled. Because we've pruned it and we've given it a proper recovery period, but again we graze it, so we take a bite off the top, and again at the bottom, that's what's happened. The roots go back and send the energy back into the plant to regrow new leaves, and we leave carbon in the soil. So there it is, the black is carbon, the first graze, the second graze, the third graze. You've now changed the environment at soil surface level. Those plants are no longer stressed. They're going to grow taller without putting out seed. That is holding water. For every gram or unit of carbon, they have 12 units of water. The soil life is functioning. The minerals that are in the soil are available to the plants. Do you understand what I'm talking about, people? So by the third graze, if you're grazing at the right densities, you've already changed the environment at soil surface level to achieve what you want to achieve. So you go on, and this is what you've actually done. You've increased the carbon above the soil, you've increased the carbon below the soil, and you have made money out of your livestock. The carbon above the soil and below the soil, here and here, will take the place of any fertilizer you're putting on there. You do not need fertilizer. Does everybody, yes sir?
What about, and I know everything's different in New Zealand, but every different country and different area must be lacking in some minerals or be overabundant in others. Boron is a big one. Well, we in selenium, are we, and even some of the trace elements, grazing regeneratively like this, does that mean that we're never going to need to put on trace elements?
So in terms of the way we have grazed, we have created a situation where, because of lack of soil life, those elements which are in the soil are not available to the plant. The more you create that scenario, the more of what's in the soil is available to the plant. So when you've learned to graze correctly and you are grazing just the first bite off each plant, then you can start fiddling with free choice minerals. So your pH of the animal is 7, and you start saying, okay, we are not getting the right amount of minerals because of shortages or whatever, just what you've spoken about. You put those out and the animals will only take those minerals that they're not getting from the soil.
So using this grazing and free choice minerals, we're not going to need food trace elements.
But the main thing is you can get there without fertilizer and trace minerals and still grow a reasonable crop. It's when you fine-tune the carburetor with the free choice minerals, it's both soil and animal that you're tuning the carburetor. But already you're making a lot more money because you haven't got any expenditure.
Would it be not a lot quicker to use fertiliser to get to that sort of third grazing level? You know, like,
No, because your
it must take a lot
fertiliser,
of time to get break down that.
your fertilizer is a salt and it kills soil life. So it just puts you back and you've got to start again.
Even at small amounts of certain trace elements like sulfur and stuff like that.
Yeah. So a dairy farmer at home decided he was short of sulfur, and he actually bought flowers of sulfur and spread it a heavy dose over all his pastures, and immediately other minerals were tied up. And excess is worse than a shortage.
Yeah.
And we cannot understand what the shortage is to get it absolutely right.
What about something to kickstart the soil biology?
So you can put in compost tea if you want to, you can put on fish, you can put on a bit of molasses, but again you're spending money.
So grazing like that will do it, or how
Okay.
long will it take?
Depending on the density.
Okay.
And I can't tell you what the density is.
The lighter soils are smaller buckets that are easy to change.
Does everybody understand the principle there? Good. So we have grown the grass, that is 3 grazings. I don't know how many grazings you expect to do in this part of the world, but extrapolate it to suit your area. However many grazings you do in the growing season, and then you go into the non-growing season. So your your green is now brown, and in this terminology I'm putting it up as blue. You want to go in there and eat it, so you take the best. Remember those bacteria in the rumen. So we decide what is our non-growing season. Maybe it's 120 days. So we go through and we take the best. Remember I showed you what happens in the bacteria in the rumen? And we come back and we graze the next best. But we leave a residual. Because when our growing season comes, the green comes in at the bottom. Your animals are going to be eating the green with the brown. And if they're eating the green with the brown, it means they're going to have a balanced diet, and those animals are going to get fat very quickly. There is no such thing as compensatory growth. If animals get the right ration, they will gain what you want them to gain. So if you want 2 kgs a day on a beef animal, you need 40.5% oxygen, you need 6.7% hydrogen, and you only need 12% protein. And most of your grasses here are knocking out at 28-32% protein. So why are you growing beans? You obviously want to send the money to town. Whereas if you had kept that piece of ground, that 30% of your property that you're now doing cover crops, if you had just kept it in grazing, imagine how much more food you would have got, because I want you to do the calculation, which you won't get the formula until the end of the slide, lot of slides. It will show you how much energy you are not capturing while that land is lying fallow. But you're embarrassed by the money you make anyway.
Why would the land ever be fallow?
Sorry?
Why would the land ever be fallow?
Okay, why will the land?
Why would the land ever be fallow?
Because it's not harvesting any. It's got no plants on it. How can it harvest energy?
Why is it not going plants on it?
Yeah, because you haven't planted it, you lie, you disc it, and you guys disc it and disc it, or you spray it. So what's happened when you spray it? You sprayed it, you just killed all the soil life. And then how long does it take before anything germinates then? It germinates so small and it takes time to grow. And again, you'd have harvested more energy just leaving it in a pasture. And if the pasture needs regenerating, just let it grow out and trample all the carbon, and immediately you've got a new pasture without having turned the soil. So if you burn a gram of carbon, it releases 9,000 calories per gram. That is energy. So if you have plowed a land, how many grams of carbon have you just burned? I would suggest it would be more cost effective to go to your bank and draw $2 million, go to the pavement and set it alight, because that's what you've just done.
You're saying we should do the cultivate.
It's your choice. I'm saying you don't need to cultivate, particularly with the weather that you guys in New Zealand get. You grow so much food, superior food to the rest of the world. I just can't understand it. But anyway, people do what they need to do. Okay, so you understand what's happening here. You get your first grade, your second grade. So let's, we need to go a bit further. Okay? So we're going to calculate the number of days stay in a paddock. On the left hand side, the red is a straight calculation. Before one has understood the bulk at which your paddocks are producing, size of paddock times recovery period, divided by the whole area to be grazed, times recovery period, as I said, will give you the days stay in a paddock. If you know what your paddocks are yielding, your best paddock will be 1. Your next maybe paddock will be point of something 1. So it can be 0.8, it can be 0.6, it can be 0.5. If it's 0.5, it is yielding half the food that 1 is yielding. So it's the area times the rating times recovery divided by the whole area to be grazed. And again, if you have taken out 30% of your land to plow and plant something else, immediately the amount of land available, your whole area to be grazed, is 30% less, will give you the days stay in that paddock. So that is the calculation. So we are going to look at the scenario, and I'm just using this as an example. I've asked Bradley if we can use his property where he's working as an example. So this is the property. So we will say to start with that you want to take the best 50% of the property because it's going to give you the best return for capital and time invested. And for argument's sake, it's going to be here, and you'll see why later. So if that's roughly 50% of the whole property. So we manage in this as we have done the calculations, we manage here. But if we make a mistake, We can just go out and start managing the paddocks we've left out, which are here. So you have a day here, a day there, a day here, a day there, a day here, etc. And you can bring in more of what is standing hay. But you haven't baled it, you haven't spent any money on it. But the animal numbers will increase. So this area from the best is going to start being stocked now because the animal numbers have increased. And you are growing from within, and so the next step would be the next area. And you can be going up your mountains and starting to do something because at little cost and effort, you are now starting to use the mountains as we go to the edge which I've depicted on this. The mountains are on the side.
So you're going one day, but
Yeah, well, what I'm doing is I'm trying to accommodate this.
yeah,
So what I'm doing is I've got grazed and ungrazed, grazed and ungrazed to start bringing in more. It's a backstop to making mistakes because we are all fearful of making mistakes. And the problem is when I started, I didn't have this as an understanding to fall back on. I just leased out all this property and I had nothing more, so I just had to farm with that. But what happened was it was a huge learning curve because within that, I then learned to obviate mosaics. I learned to offer my animals a higher percentage of the whole because I didn't have the luxury of this. Yeah, I'm giving you total flexibility. I've told you the only way you can manage chaos is to build flexibility. This is part of the flexibility. The managing of the mosaic is another flexibility within what you've got. So you guys can't go wrong because you've got plenty of food. It's just how you're going to allocate it and how you're going to use it.
Is there a problem with the gut biome by going on to high protein, lower protein, or higher quality food to lower quality food?
As long as it's not 5 days, it's a day, it's a day, it's a day, we're fine
Okay.
compared to that.
So, Ian, why not harvest, so on that, go back to, or flip that back over. Why not during the dormant season, go all the way here and up in a day?
Because what happens is, you can,
And
when
this
you
is one
need,
day.
as long as it's a day.
Yeah.
You see here it was 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50 days.
But do you find it more advantageous to go through those paddocks, say, twice over a 60 or 90 day period, or during that dormant season?
If this was mine, I would graze here everything for the first graze. When I came to the second graze, I'd be doing this to include some of this other stuff. Because I'm wanting to now improve the soil biology around the best. I've used an example which is an oversimplification. You guys have got to deal with gradients, but you understand, as long as I get the principle over to you, I'm happy. Yes, sir.
By zigzagging in and out of that, you're giving that middle block on your second graze a longer rotation to be able to recover.
That's in the non-grain season, so you don't really need recovery. The only recovery you're using in the equation is the length of your non-grain season. This is in the non-grain season that you're doing this. But you can do it if you run short in the grain season. So it's a total safety net to your whole operation.
So the main part is leaving enough residual in that blue area in order to be able to come back to it in that non-growing season.
So you've taken all the animals that would have been running here, you put them all into here, so all of a sudden this area is probably stocked double the conventional, and to me that is getting close to where you should be. And you manage accordingly, but you've got that safety net. all the way around. Because ultimately I got to 6 times my neighbour. So I don't know where the end is. Because the more animals I put on an area, the more animals I needed, because I grew so much more grass. And not so much more grass, I captured more energy. You know, we can grow a 10-year-old steer and keep it on our property and still make money on it because it's edible. In this country they throw it away as cat's meat or something, I don't know. Because of some funny disease that happened when Britain sprayed the mud island with organophosphate and they got Jacob's disease. And yet they blame the farmers. They don't need to do the farmers. It's the government. You guys understand the principle? Good. I'm happy. You understood the principle. That's really good. So we go and look at animals in a desert. And there they are. For 88 years or 87 years, I can't remember now, those animals have had no new genetic material brought into the herd. So we go back to Arkansas and look at the pretty flowers. But they are totally dead soils. But the guy at the far end there went to his church and told all the people he would mow their yards, which are 50, 60 acre paddocks all the way around where this guy had this property. He would mow and bale as long as he could take the bales for free. He brought 2,000 bales onto this property. Remember I showed you that slide of a sacrifice paddock and the yellow flowers on the edge? After that I told him to feed the animals on the pastures. So he collected the bales this summer when I was there, and the next winter he fed them on the pastures, and the cattle ate what they wanted and trod the rest into the ground, and this is what he grew in 6 months. No fertilizer, people!
Would that be a wee bit of the seed from the hay brought onto the farm?
Just the hay. You can see where the hay didn't get. Look, look. Is that not good?
So the hay's got seed in it though?
Sorry, I can't hear you.
So the hay's got seed in it?
Yeah, the hay got fed here.
Yeah.
It got rolled out and then he grazed it. So each time he was going through the winter, he fed the hay in front of the cattle.
So for buttercup predominant, well not predominant, but for pastures with real big buttercup problems, doing that management there, is it both competition and the change of soil because of that additional hay that has out-competed and changed the conditions so the buttercup won't
You
grow?
will change the fungal bacterial relationship in the soil and soil life. So fungal bacteria is going to be changed by the carbon that's going down. Soil life is going to be changed by the animals grazing on it and stomping on it and whatever. Symbiotic energy. And
So
again, I've just shown that just where the hay didn't go, it didn't grow.
So you can change buttercup infested pastures in a couple of years.
You can change thistle paddocks, beautiful crop of thistles in 6 months to something totally different. Looks pretty good.
You saying feed hay on thistles, hay in the winter, roll hay out over thistles?
Yeah. But try and change your thinking and say you put the hay down for the soil and what the animals eat is incidental, and you'll see your pastures just go whoop and start producing something that you can't believe in. So this guy didn't want to stop flying, so he grew veg, and he grew such good veg after he plowed the beautiful pasture in that he wanted to show me and left it too long. And look what happened. It wasn't capturing energy at the base. So he could have had 3 grazes out of that before I got there. So we look at these animals, and it's that pasture with clover grass pastures, but it's early in the spring, and compared to that flowered out legume, this is early in the spring compared to midsummer, and the cattle are covered, so they're in reasonable condition going into the summer. But watch what they graze. That's what the paddock looked like, and 2 hours later, that's what it looked like. And yet we say clover is a legume and it must be protein. No, watch the animals. The animals know where the best energy is. So a clover leaf follows the sun from morning till night, and at that time of the year, they ate the clover because that's where the best energy is. The next grazer ate the grasses and left the clover. And so we go on to those mature grasses or clovers, just to show you what happens. Look at the condition, people. We don't need any more seeds. This guy for 10 years has been trying to keep everything vegetated. Look at all the seeds. So we go to New York State, which is similar to what you guys do here. And those are the wieners. Look at the fact. You guys have the potential. But you kill your pastures first and then expect them to produce. They can't. Believe it or not, those cattle are ready to move because they've grown so much food they don't know what to do. So they should mow it, but in actual fact what they've done, and this is a property where they mowed enough bales to feed for 2 winters, grazing the same number of animals they have just because they graze differently. And to prove it, I've got an email, if you don't believe me. The girl who runs this wrote me an email 2 days ago. The staff are happy because they don't have to handle animals the whole time. There are no sick animals. Their reconception has improved dramatically. Everybody's happy. Happy people are easy to manage. It's not animals that are the problem, it's the people. You need people to be happy. Look where they put their bales when they used to cut bales from elsewhere. Look at all the cows was germinating. Carbon, everything germinates. So we go back to Lubbock, Texas, and 125 yards by 125 yards square. Do enough grass to feed a cow for 1 day. Same ranch, 5 years later. Same ranch, 10 years later. Look at the fat on those cattle. You guys live in cuckoo land here, it's just too easy. Those guys battle for moisture, but look at the cattle. He has just spent $2.3 million putting in a water pipeline to drink cattle. That's how convinced he is what we're doing is going to allow him to keep so many cattle on this property that he needs the water. He has created the grass. And these are the storage tanks, and he's got 8 of them on the property. Guys, those are municipal storage tanks. That sends them a radio message when the tank is emptying too fast to show there's a leak. This is high tech. But he's prepared to spend it because it's the equivalent of another 6 ranches which he doesn't have to buy. Imagine what that's doing to management. Imagine what it's going to do to plant spacings on this ranch. Any questions? So Marco Barunda came to a workshop of mine some time ago, and he showed me a diary from his great-grandfather who came to Mexico. And he said they came through with grass up to the stirrups. And 2 years ago he sent me this photograph and just said thank you. It happens, people. So imagine what you guys can do if that